Sa punto ito, makakausap muli natin si Professor Romel Regalado Bagares. Professor Bagares, anong masasabi niyo doon sa unang bahagi ng submission of merits ng depensa?
So, gaya nga ng kaso ng bago, napaka-relevant talaga dito.
Yes.
Mhm.
Niya, walang ibang ebidensya, puro press release, human rights reports, NGO reports, yun kasi yung nangyari dun sa bago. No? Wala, pero sabi ko rin nga, sa bago, walang written policy dito meron. At sabi ko, smoking gun yun, sinabi niya hindi smoking gun. Ano? At kasi nga, talagang ito yung pinagkakaiba dito sa ang kaso ni Duterte at ni Bago. At inaasahan ko rin talaga na sasabihin niya na bakit doon sa kaso ng Bago, wala namang matibay na ebidensya na magli-link doon sa mga sinabi ng Pangulo at saka doon sa mga pagpatay. No? So, inatake niya yung causation theory ng prosecutor. Isang malagang makita dito, sinabi niya rin, no? Tingin ko, medyo malakas yung puntos niya dito. Yung dokumento mismo, merong nagsabi na human rights ay ay susundin ng mga kapulisan, ano? Dahil
Yes.
at sinabi niya na ang dokumentong ito, hindi man ito criminal modus operandi. Ang dokumentong ito ay patungkol sa krimen, kung paano puksain ang krimen at hindi patayin yung mga civilians. So nag-focus siya doon sa word na neutralization at sabi niya, hindi ibig sabihin niya na patayin yung mga civilians without due process. Kasi doon mismo sa dokumento, merong nakalagay na susundin ng kapulisan yung human rights. No? So ang theory dito ni Attorney Kaufman, ganito. No? Kung meron mang pagpatay na illegal, hindi ito malilink doon sa dokumento mismo. Kundi meron mga scalawags. No? Merong hindi sumusunod. Deviation from policy. And you cannot blame that on the president. Yun ang sinasabi niya.
Attorney, balikan ko lamang itong punto na to sa dokumento. No? Ang pinupunto pa ni Attorney Kaufman, hindi naman daw ito kautusan na atakihin ang general population. Bagkus atakihin ang mga pinaghihinalaang kriminal. So what is he trying to establish or accomplish by arguing this?
Well, sinasabi niya kasi, yung kasing crimes against humanity, ano, yung isang elemento doon, targeting civilians as a policy.
Okay.
Sabi niya, parang preposterous yung sinasabi ng prosecution na yung buong Pilipinas yung inaatake, ano, ng policy ng dating Pangulo. Hindi ganyan, no? At in fact, doon sa as the policy is worded, sabi niya, may discretion yung mga mag-i-implement. At yung exercise ng discretion na yun, hindi mo yun pwedeng sabihin na si Presidente Duterte pa rin may kasalanan. So, sinasabi niya essentially na well, kung mayroon mga gumawa ng mali, no? O mali yung exercise ng discretion, hindi si Presidente yun, kundi nag-implement in violation of the policy. Yun ang depensa niya. No? And that is actually what was done in the case of Bagbo. Ano? Dahil walang written policy, pero ang sinasabi ng Bagbo, yung mga generalized killings, no? Hindi ibig sabihin na dahil maraming pagpatay ay directed yung pagpatay. Kasi sabi sa Bagbo ng korte, wala namang ebidensya na talagang merong common control, may joint implementation, merong indirect co-perpetration circle of people. Dahil nga sa walang koneksyon na nakita yung korte doon sa mga pronouncements ni Laurent Gbagbo at yung mga pagpatay na sumunod.
Professor, sa punto po bang ito, mahalaga po ba na magpasok na ng aktwal o bagong ebidensya ang depensa kasabay ng kanilang pagkontra sa mga naging unang pahayag ng prosekusyon? No? I mean, kasi at this point, diba, rebuttal ang nakikita natin. Paano ba yan titimbangin ng mga hukom ng ICC?
Well, kasi of course, no, napakarami ng mga ebidensya na sinabit yung prosecution at yung depensa dito. Nakita lang natin yung summation, yung main outcomes no, ng kanilang dokumento. So nakita natin kanina yung contextual arguments ni Attorney Kaufman. Sinasabi niya, taken out of context yung mga statements ni Duterte. At kahit yung ebidensya mismo ng mga prosecution, yung mga cooperating criminal witnesses, ano, or yung sa atin yung mga insider mismo daw yung mga statements ng mga insider witness ay tend to tell us that the operations were really proper. Na kaya lang sila gumanti kasi tinutukan sila ng baril. Yun yung mga ebidensya, mga selected pieces of evidence na pinakita ng prosecutor, ng depensa rather, makikita natin na yung mga standard na defenses ay ginamit naman ni Attorney Kaufman dito sa kanyang initial presentation.
Oo. Kasi nga po, ang sinasabi ni Attorney Kaufman, yung mga naging pahayag ni former President Duterte, hindi naman daw ito utos na magpatay, kundi utos na gamitin ng anumang kailangan gamitin para depensahan ng sarili kapag mag-aaresto ng mga umano'y drug pusher. So, kayo po, paano nyo titimbangin yung ganito? Kasi parang parang very subject to interpretation. He said, she said, parang ganon.
Well, actually, he was addressing two other alternative modes of liability. Nakikita, ang madalas kasing nire-report dito sa atin, yung unang yung principal mode of liability, yung indirect co-perpetration. Actually, may dalawa pang alternative modes of liability dito na kasama sa charge sheet. Yung isa is yung ordering or inducing, at yung pangalawa ay yung aiding and abetting. Yung ordering or inducing, walang common plan, pero nag-utos siya at yung utos niya ay nagbunsod ng pagkamatay ng mga tao na illegal. Yung inducing naman, alam niya na merong kasama siya na gumagawa ng krimen, nagbigay siya ng tulong. So itong dalawang alternative modes of liability actually are accessory crimes. Hindi siya dito principal author or designer. Kung hindi, accessory lang siya. Nevertheless, yung range of penalties, if proven to have happened, will still be the same as the principal crime under the rules. So yun actually yung sinasabi dito ni Attorney Kaufman na well, meron kayong alternative na arguments pero kahit yun, wala kayong direct evidence. Actually, yun din, kasi hindi natin alam yung mga complete na data, hindi natin makikita dito, napakarami. Pero I think, halimbawa, doon sa policy, I think the prosecutor can address with the fact that, all those 6,000, yung sa human rights argument, 6,000 plus official deaths arising from the Tokhang, na supposedly nanlaban. Now, under the manual of operations of the PNP from 2013, which was active, which was live when Bato de la Rosa was PNP chief, sinasabi doon na tuwing may mamamatay sa police operation, dapat dadaan ng inquest yan. Meaning, i-inquest ng DOJ yan para patunayan na walang irregularidad na nangyari sa pagpatay, walang foul play. Ngayon, pag titingnan natin, dahil may kaso niya sa Korte Suprema, ay yung unang writ of amparo case against the drug war, ni isa walang maipakita yung PNP, na report ng inquest. Ano ibig sabihin niyan? Well, sasabihin ng prosecutor, nakita natin na meron kasing inner circle. Yung mga tao ni Duterte nung siya ay nasa Davao, inappoint niya ngayon sa mga mahalagang ahensya ng pamahalaan. Kasama yung DOJ. Sino yung dapat gumagawa ng inquest? Yung DOJ. Bakit wala kahit isang report sa 6,000 pagpatay?
Attorney, para i-reinforce ang kanyang point dun sa pag-question sa causal link between the president's statement or former president's statements and the murders, sinabi ni Attorney Kaufman, wala daw ni isang witness na naipakita ang prosecution na in-order siya o inutusan siya and he actually went out and killed someone. Kailangan po ba ganun ka-direct, ganun ka-literal ang ma-establish na causality para maipin sa dating Pangulo ang liability?
Yung point na I think doon yun sa second mode of liability, yung ordering.
Yes, oo.
Pero doon sa indirect co-perpetration, hindi naman kailangan merong direct, kailangan lang ipakita na meron isang grupo, merong common plan, merong joint control, merong criminal intent, at merong essential rule ang Pangulo doon sa joint commission of the crime na yon. And in this case, according to the prosecutor, meron talaga kasi may inner circle, meron silang policy. Kung ano yung ginawa sa Davao, nireplicate lang yun in a grander scale pagdating sa naging presidente yung Pangulo, nationwide na siya, at yung mga taong kasama niya doon sa Davao, in-appoint niya sa key law enforcement agencies to ensure the implementation, no, using state machinery to implement the alleged murderous policy.
At saka it has been widely reported, attorney, na yung mga nagpakilalang dating DDS, sina Matubato, sina Las Cañas, hindi ho ba ang claim nila ay tumanggap sila ng direct orders mula sa dating Pangulo to carry out the killings?
Tama po yan. No? But right now kasi, no, at this stage, it's very rare really that the pretrial chamber will allow the presentation of a live witness, no.
Okay.
Mangyayari yan doon sa trial talaga.
trial
Pero
na.
dito puro dokumento pa lang. So hindi pa po natin talagang, unless magkaroon ng exception. Pero wala naman tayong nakitang order
Yes.
at request on the part of the prosecutor to present a live witness, no. So hindi talaga ginagawa yan dito sa stage na to ng
Alright.
pretrial.
Okay.
At Professor, nabanggit ni Attorney Kaufman na parang isa sa mga pinunto niya, bakit daw tumagal o bakit naghintay ng 4 na taon bago inimbestigahan? Why did it take the ICC 4 years after President Duterte pulled out before actually investigating? Sa tingin niyo po ba may merito ang ganitong klaseng argumento o pagpunto ng depensa?
Mukhang jurisdiction pa rin ang tinutumbok nila
At
dito,
yung jurisdiction
attorney.
yan, as I said kanina, pwede niya namang ihulitin yun. Ano? Kasi although na-address na yun ng pretrial chamber earlier, no, sinabi na wala, tapos na yan. No? Kasi malino naman na yung ibig sabihin ng judicial proceedings kasama yung gawa ng prosecutor. Ano? At yung time element, kasi yun ang sinabi ng minority view doon sa appeals chamber decision na nagsabi na may jurisdiction. Ano? So inulit na lang yun. Pero actually, pag tingnan natin yung practice ng ICC, minsan yung kaso ng Afghanistan, 15 years na, no? Hindi pa tapos yung preliminary examination, tapos nagkaroon ng PI, tapos na-suspend. Ano? So matagal talaga, based kasi nga yan sa mga ebidensyang available. No? Pero ngayon, mas malinaw na kasi nagkaroon ng mga maliwakang reforma, no? Pagdating sa timeline. So kagaya nito, alam natin, 60 days, merong period na binigay yung rules ng procedure ngayon ng ICC. Dan dapat after this pretrial proceeding, within 60 days, meron ng ruling on the confirmation of charges. But nevertheless, it really takes time because this is the nature of an international kind of proceeding, very complex kasi yung.
Pero kasi nga po, 'di ba, parang sinasabi na nga po na eto nga nagkaroon na nga ng ruling on jurisdiction kasi nga pinayagan nga na umabot pa dito sa pretrial chamber. Pero yung the fact na paulit-ulit siyang binabanggit ng defense even with previous rulings. Strategy na lang po ba ito para at least in the mind of the public parang isipin nila, parang may punto ba ito or hindi?
Well, aside from that, no, as a lawyer myself, no, you try your best to actually put into the record your objection on jurisdiction from the very beginning. Kasi it's part of legal strategy to show that you've always been a persistent objector to the claim that court had acquired jurisdiction over your client. Ano? At consistent yan kasi meron silang pending appeal, no, sa appeals chamber on that very question from the pretrial chamber order dismissing their motion to dismiss on the ground of lack of jurisdiction. So it's actually the defense being consistent with the argument.
Attorney, pati yung common plan, kinwestiyon ni Attorney Kaufman. Ano bang tinutumbok niya dito?
Yun nga, no? Kasi ang teorya ng prosecution mula sa Davao na export sa Manila, yung mga personalities na katuwang niya sa Davao, naging PNP chief, naging PDEA chief,
Yes.
naging DOJ chief. Ano? At kaya naging madali yung implementation. At kung hindi naman siya naging presidente, wala ding ganung klaseng drug war. No? Yun yung common plan doon. At sabi ng prosecutor, well, may written policy, yun yung circular na in-issue ng PNP. And in fact, hindi lang yan, no? May dalawa. Tapos yung Malacanang din, nag-issue din ng administrative order suspending the if you recall, to suspend the implementation of double barrel because of the Kian de los Santos killing. At pagkatapos ay binalik yun, reloaded na. So may mga written policies, but the principal one really here is the Oplan Double Barrel Memorandum Circular.
Tapos ang sinasabi niya, hindi nga daw, parang malabo naman daw na makakapagpresenta sila ng patunay na nag-meeting itong mga tinatawag na co-perpetrators para pag-usapan itong common plan. Is that even required?
Hindi naman. Ano? Kasi yun nga, maraming maaring, pwede kasi magkaroon ng inferences. Inferences at saka based on the actions carried out by the key personalities. And what goes for really goes well, at least, no, at this point in time, because this is not yet a process requiring proof beyond reasonable doubt, no. For the prosecution, pinakita nila na meron talagang written policy na kakaiba, and this is unique kasi may written policy matching that with the pronouncement of the president, and then there's statistics, the scientific study showing the distribution of killings, that these are not random killings.
Yes.
There's a pattern to the killings, and the pattern shows that this is pursuant to the written policy.
Professor, kasi ilang beses rin binanggit ni Attorney Kaufman na parang kung ano man ang mga speech or pahayag na sinabi ng prosecution or sinight, no, ng prosecution, meron din naman silang maipapakita ng mga naging pahayag ni dating Pangulong Duterte na pangontra din daw doon. So parang kumbaga pagdating doon sa mga naging statements ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, meron daw silang pangontra doon. Pero kung kayo po, kung titimbangin po yung mga naging statement ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte versus kung ano man ang sasabihin or ano mang naging pahayag ng mga testigo, alin po ba doon ang mas bibigyang diin ng korte?
Well, kung titingnan natin yung standards, no, yung preponderance of evidence, no, which is equivalent to a strong indicia of guilt, that if not rebutted could lead to a conviction, ano, na mas marami yung mga statements ng Pangulo all those 6 years. If you correlate that with what happened the next, yung one time, big time, no? And I think it's very difficult actually to say that that was not the intention of the president, no? And he, in fact, campaign promised na there's going to be bloodshed. And the prosecution actually had a theory for that, na inatake ni Attorney Kaufman, sabi niya, merong parang dalawang anyo yung presidente, yung kaliwa niyang mukha, sasabing hindi, yung pangkanang mukha, bahagi na kanyang labi ay nagsasabi ng oo, no? Yun yung sinasabi ng prosecutor na sasabihin niya na legal pero babawiin niya rin, no? And that is consistent across all of the statements made by the president, ano? And I think that the scientific studies will really go into that. Yung patterns ng killings, yung scope ng killings, sino yung mga pinatay, mahalaga yun, no? And plus, of course, the one that I pointed out, that the very requirements of the PNP itself with respect to deaths arising from a police operation, no? Requirement yun na magkaroon ng inquest. Pwede mong i-excuse siguro yung 10 or 50 na walang reports. Pero 6,000 plus walang reports kahit isang maipakita yung PNP, well, that tells you something, no? And that should go into the argument of the prosecution in their submissions to the court.
Attorney, nabanggit nyo kanina, binigyang diin ng prosecution yung word na neutralize, to mean kill.
Exactly.
Ito ho, si Attorney Kaufman, ang sinasabi niya, ang neutralize ay euphemism. Hindi siya exactly equivalent to kill.
Patay. Well, alam niyo, naging beat reporter din tayo ng matagal, ano, at sa mga police reports.
Yeah.
Pag sinabing neutralize, patay talaga yan. Di ba?
Correct.
Sa joint operation reports,
Yes.
pag sinabing neutralize, patay yan. So I think there should be some documentary submissions on the part of the prosecution on the meaning of neutralize in police reports.
Professor, balikan ko lang po yung naging tanong ko kanina kasi nga ang narinig natin, rebuttal pa lang so far, di ba? At ang inaasahan natin kasi, parang ang intindi natin kapag submission of merits, meron ka rin ipipresenta na bagong ebidensya. Aasahan ba natin na pagkatapos itong break na ito sa pagbabalik ng depensa, meron pa silang mga ibang ipipresenta or pwede bang ipagpatuloy lang nila hanggang bukas na puro rebuttal lang at okay lang yun?
Well, dapat meron pa, ano, kasi binigyan sila ng panahon na ngayon para sa kanila, no? I would expect that there should be more on the other details kasi ano pala ang natalakay dito, ano, yung elements of the crime, yung mga statements ng Pangulo. So meron pa dun sa dapat kasi detalyado yung presentation ng prosecution dun sa individual cases, ano. So kailangan kasi sabihin ng prosecutor na yung mga pagpatay na yun ay walang pattern yun, no? Na there's no yung individual na examples, yung non-exhaustive list na or represented cases na pinakita na ng prosecutor. Kailangan ipakita yun ng depensa na well, these are really random and these are not pursuant to a policy, but if at all, no? Sinabi niya na kanina, nanlaban, self-defense, puro self-defense, ano? Or deviation from policy by scalawags who wanted to embarrass the president. Remember, during the time Senator De La Rosa, when he was PNP chief, was talking about ninja cops also. No? So siguro dadating sila doon sa punto na yun, papakita nila na kung meron mang pagpatay na illegal, hindi sa amin yan. Kung hindi, may mga scalawags. And in fact, we prosecuted them. I guess they should talk to that on that point with respect to the Kian de los Santos plus the other a handful of prosecutions dealing with foot soldiers rather than the brains of the policy.
Attorney, lihis muna ako sa mga specific points na ni-raise ni Attorney Kaufman at dumako saglit dito sa kanyang style. He is quite the speaker, no? He's quite the debater.
Yeah.
Sa mga ganito hong mga proceedings, gaano kahalaga na magaling magsalita, convincing, passionate ang abogado ng either prosecution or defense? Kasi hindi naman ho ito jury system, ano? Hindi naman jury yung magde-decide ng kaso.
Hindi po. Mahalaga po kasi yung rhetoric dito kasi yung International Criminal Court is a mix of civil and common law, no? Yung common law part, yung advocacy talaga. And si Attorney Kaufman is one who was really raised in the adversarial tradition, like the Philippines, no?
Yeah.
Na may adversarial tradition tayo. In fact, yung binanggit niya, I think he's on leave right now, no? Si Karim Khan. He
Yeah.
was noted as a defense counsel. Before he was appointed as a prosecutor, the head of the prosecutor, Karim Khan was well respected because he had won quite a few cases, no?
Okay.
Not a few cases as a defense counsel. No? So magkakilala sila diyan. No? At people really held in high regard Karim Khan as a very able lawyer as a defense counsel. So this is actually the first time we're seeing that live here, right? Napapanood lang natin yan sa mga palabas.
Oo, sa
Pili-
pelikula ko lang napapanood to sa mga series.
Oo.
Yeah, di ba?
Sa mga legal
Where
drama,
rhetoric is really important, no? And that's why it's also wrong to compare it to a jury, no? Because the judges are not the jury, and the judges are trained lawyers, no? So when you say that, they tend to be, they might be influenced by the persuasion.
Yes.
Oh, that I don't think that goes into the heart of it, because in the first place, the judges here are trained. They're not ordinary citizens as in a jury.
So hindi sila basta-basta
Should
hindi sila basta-basta madadala sa galing ng pananalita.
po. Pero yun nga, no, makikita natin may konting insulto, no, na swak mga ganun talaga, no? In any British court, you will encounter those kinds of rhetorical strategies of lawyers.
In fact, nung day one nga, natanong ni Pia kay Dean Pangalangan, sino bang kausap talaga ni Kaufman? Parang nag-a-appeal siya to the Duterte supporters dahil yung kanyang paraan ng pananalita at mga argumentong kanyang pinalutang.
Tama po yun, no? And I don't think that politics can be discounted here because, in the Philippines, this trial is also connected to a lot of things in the Philippine political realm, no? 2020 it is just around the corner, and the results of the elections might also influence how things will turn out, no? So kaya importante din talaga sa tingin ko para kay Attorney Kaufman na i-address yung malaking constituency na yan ng dating Pangulo.
Tingin niyo po ba, Professor Romel, kapag nahahaluan ng politika ang mga argumento, either ng prosecution or ng depensa, nakakatulong po ba ito sa kanilang kaso? I mean, at least in terms of yung sa pagtanggap nito ng judges. Kasi syempre iba pag sa publiko eh.
Well, sa international legal processes, hindi talaga may iwasan. In fact, marami tayong kaso. Sa ICJ, that was raised, no? Has been raised in a few cases. At sabi lang ng mga international tribunals, possible na mayroong political angle, but the most important thing is that even if there's a political angle to it, there is also a legal angle. And our focus will be on the legal question. So we can set aside the politics, but that's really for the council to do, no? But the court will say, in the ICJ, we have several cases dealing with that. The WHO advisory opinion and such, leading cases, no? Sinabi ng ICJ, International Court of Justice doon. Now, whether or not there is a political reason for these actions, it's beside the point. What is important for us is that there is a legal question. And our ruling will address the legal question, not the political one.
Sa puntong ito, Professor, kasi syempre pre-trial pa lamang po ito, no? Hindi pa siya yung aktwal na paglilitis kasi hindi pa natin alam kung matutuloy nga siya sa paglilitis. Pero kayo po sa inyong karanasan, dapat po ba lahat ng pinakamabibigat na ebidensya nilalabas na dito or dapat ba meron kang ititira pa sakali ngang umabot sa aktwal na paglilitis?
Well, nasa strategy naman yan. No? At alam naman ng mga prosecutor yan na yung kailangan lang natin dito is substantial grounds. Hindi pa proof beyond reasonable doubt.
Oo.
And besides, as I've been saying, actually, wala naman ditong ebidensya na maitatago. Kasi yung ICC, pagkakaiba niya sa ibang korte sa kagaya sa Pilipinas, merong doctrine of equality of arms. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung ebidensya na meron yung prosecutor, kailangan may access yung depensa dyan.
Okay.
Even especially evidence that will tend to exculpate from liability a defendant or an accused. It's a mandatory requirement for the prosecution. Ganon din sa depensa. Kung meron siyang ebidensya hawak nila, ano man yun, kailangan available din yun sa prosecution.
So unique ito sa ICC, Prof, no?
Yes, equality of arms tawag dyan, doctrine of equality of arms. Sa Pilipinas, hindi po ganon. No? Pwede yung
Taguan ng
prosecutor
ebidensya
Oo
yan,
nga,
di
so
ba?
walang gulatan. Wala
Itago
palang
mong
gulatan
ebidensya
dyan.
mo kasi, di ba? Keep it close to your chest.
Although, the court has tried to limit that possibility now because of the new rules, no. Pero generally, don't really have that rule. No, walang express rule on doctrine of equality of arms in domestic courts. That's a standard that you will find observed strictly by the International Criminal Court.
Okay.
Attorney, bago magsimula itong day 3 ng confirmation of charges hearing, nagkaroon ng allegation na yung mga ICC investigators daw ay pinondohan ng certain political personalities at naglabas nga po ng pahayag yung Office of the Prosecutor, itinatang yung allegation. Ito hong mga ganitong developments, I don't know, can we call them noise surrounding the hearing? May effect ba ito at all?
I think what we're seeing here is an attempt to sully the legitimacy of the proceedings. Pero alam mo, yung Rome Statute, meron din yung rules dealing with that, yung obstruction or violation or an attempt to tamper with the administration of justice. No? Nasa Rome Statute. Pwedeng magkaroon ng sanctions ang International Criminal Court dyan.
Sanctions against who?
Against the perpetrators,
Okay.
Pwedeng magkaroon ng ganyan, na magkakaroon ng reklamo, kung magkaroon ng formal na complaint. But I don't think that will actually affect in any way the conduct of the proceedings, in a sense that the court will stop the proceedings, because of that, besides, the court is really very zealous of its independence, as we have seen with the response of the courts, but also, look at the kinds of allegations being thrown at it, yung credibility ng mga allegations na yun, dapat tinitingnan din natin kung meron pa talagang basehan. It's shot through with contradictions and such,
Professor, bago po tayo nag-umpisa kanina, nag-report po, nag-ulat yung aming kasamahan na si Marisol Abdurrahman at sabi nga niya na syempre yung ibang mga kaanak ng mga biktima naroon, kinakabahan sila kasi first time nilang maririnig kung anong sasabihin ng depensa. Tingin niyo po ba parang tamang estratehiya po ba yun na pagdating sa submission of merits ng depensa na naroon pa rin yung mismong mga kaanak ng mga biktima? Or tingin niyo po ba dapat minsan ipinagpapaliban na lang at iniiwan doon sa mga kanilang abogado na lang na sila ang makinig? Kasi syempre baka maapektuhan din sila sa pakikinig.
Alam po ninyo, sa teorya ng katarungan, actually, it's part of giving justice to victims by actually allowing them to have access.
Okay.
Isipin po natin, nasa dahig po yan. At napakamahal ito para pumunta doon. At kaya nga po, meron pong office ng Common Legal Representative for Victims, di ba? Kasi isenyo yan na makikita natin sa ICC lamang. Merong specific na office that takes care of the interests of the victims. Dito actually, hindi po sila litigants. They are participants, but they are not strictly speaking parties. And that's why they need to have a separate lawyer. And the lawyers, the Filipino lawyers plus the one that heads that belongs to the office of Common Legal Representative, they don't get to decide what strategy will be used by the prosecutor or whether or not new evidence will be presented or whether or not the charge sheet will be amended. Hindi po yung pwedeng gawin ng mga victims, lawyers, Pero pwede silang magsabit ng questions with leave of court, no? On a witness, for instance. Pwede rin po silang magsabit ng observations pagdating po dun sa protection ng rights and all that. No? That's why you see Attorney Butuin, Attorney Andres talking on behalf of victims, because that's part of the design of the ICC, that the victims are really given a voice. They only become proper parties pagdating po dun sa question ng reparations. Kasi may personal interest po sila doon, yung injury na personal sa kanila. Didinggin po ng korte yan pagdating doon sa reparations. So doon lang po sila properly parties. Hindi po sila litigants talaga in that sense. No? Iba po yung disenyo ng ICC for that question.
Minsan kasi 'di ba parang may tendency na makalimutan natin na iba talaga yung takbo pagdating sa international court. Kasi ang nakikita lang natin, ang nakasanayan natin local courts, 'di ba? Parang dalawa lang yung partido, meron ka lang depensa, meron kang prosekusyon. Meron yung biktima, meron yung suspect o yung nililitis, yung akusado. So, I guess kailangan importante na tandaan natin na iba yung takbo dito pagdating sa international courtroom.
Tama po,
Attorney, yung latest pa, yung pinayagan ng korte ang dating Pangulo na hindi dumalo sa kanyang hearing on detention. Bukas, I think this is scheduled tomorrow. Tanong ko lang, how is it in the defense's advantage ang hindi pagdalo ng dating Pangulo?
Well, di ba, theory nila, walang jurisdiction yung korte. Na illegal, walang legitimacy in the whole proceeding.
So it's
I
a
think
statement, kumbaga.
It's very consistent with that approach. That they don't in any case recognize the legality and validity of the whole process. And that should supposed to be important because that there's a rule in the ICC that you have to revisit every year.
Yes.
A question of whether it's still proper to hold someone in detention, someone who's facing a proceeding, no? So requirement yan, nakalagay sa rules yan, kaya every year. And, you know, I guess that's also their way of saying na we don't really recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC. And besides, you know, I'm being held against my my wish, my volition. And in fact, I was not properly taken to court. I was kidnapped.
Yes.
So whatever you say there, wala naman talagang masasabi kayong maayos dyan dahil in the first place, kinidnap ako.
Tapos, hindi ho kaya, may posible din na ang sinasabi ho kasi ng depensa, the president is frail and weak and incapable of standing trial. Pero sinasabi ng ICC experts, he is fit to stand trial. Hindi ho kaya parang pag hinarap mo sa paglilitis ng dating Pangulo, malalaman ng lahat na he is actually capable.
I think sa issue na yun, hindi kasama yun, no? Yun lang legal basis for holding him in detention.
Okay.
No? But there's a separate rule where the court can always monitor of course, halimbawa, after 2 years, the defense can say, well, you know, this was the situation 2 years ago, but right now, I think that you have to look at the evidence. And the court can once again revisit that question of the fitness of the former president to stand trial. Because it goes in, you know, the principle of due process.
Well, Professor, siguro 2 minuto na lang at mag-uumpisa na ulit no, yung pagdinig. Ano po expectations nyo dito sa ikalawang bahagi ng pagdinig?
Well, yun nga, sabi ko kanina, detailed, no? And I expect the defense to now attack the individual cases to show that these are not part of a pattern killing, nor are they related to policy.
So, kumbaga, iisa-isahin na dapat.
Ayun dapat yun.
Alright. So, titignan natin kung yan ang actually na magagawa nila. Kasi nga, so far, puro rebuttal pa lang ang naririnig natin. So, even kayo po, Professor, talagang inaabangan nyo na kung ano yung mismong maisusumiti pa nila. Maidadagdag pa.
At nire-rebut individual prosecutors.
Oo.
Sinabi ni ganito prosecutor, ganito, but it's not true or hindi consistent. You know.
So,
anyway, abangan natin kung magkakaroon nga ng direct i-refute isa-isa, individually, yung mga individual cases na binanggit ng prosecution.
Alright.
Prof, babalikan po namin kayo mamaya. Thank you very much.